Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to talk about how you can be a detective and a scientist through the scientific method. The first step in the scientific method is to ask a question. What are you curious about in the world? What have you seen around that makes you wonder? Sometimes I look up at the sky and I wonder, why is the sky blue? Or I'll be breathing in and out and I'll wonder, why do people have to breathe? The next thing I do in order to answer my question is to do research. Now, research is looking up facts that could help answer your questions. I want to start with, what do I already know? I went to school, and some things I have learned through what my teacher taught me. If I didn't learn it in school, I could see if someone has already asked that same question. I could figure out that information by going on my iPad and doing some research on the internet. Or if I don't have an iPad, I could go on my computer. Lots of the time, there are some awesome facts you can learn while reading books. And finally, a great way to answer some questions you may have is to ask an adult. They know a lot of things. The next thing I'm going to do in my scientific method is form a hypothesis. Can you say that word? Hypothesis. It's a real long word, but it means a real simple thing. A hypothesis is a guess or a prediction. What do you think the answer to your question is? What's a prediction you can make? Let's go back to my question of, why is the sky blue? I think the sky is blue because there might be something up in the sky that's turning it blue. Let's think back to my question of, why do people breathe? I think we breathe because we need to bring in oxygen into our bodies. The next thing we're going to do after we have asked a question, done research, formed a hypothesis, is experiment. This is where you get to be an awesome scientist. How will you answer your question, and what kind of plans will you make? Before you can do your awesome experiment, you have to gather materials and create a list of steps in order to complete your experiment. These are called procedures. They are really important in order to help other people do the same experiment you did. Finally, you get to come to the cool part where you get to be a hands-on scientist and actually do your experiment. After you've done your experiment, or sometimes even while you're doing your experiment, you want to collect data or data, either way. When you're collecting data, you will record it. Now here is where you're going to need to use your math skills. A little while back, we learned what a bar graph was. A lot of the time, scientists record their data on graphs or bar graphs. Also, sometimes they use tally charts. So you may want to go back into your brain and think about how to make a tally chart. Here is where you're going to see if your hypothesis was correct. Finally, you're going to draw a conclusion. What did you learn about? What did you find out? Here is where you're going to show what you know. You did your experiment. Now you've learned something new. You've found the answer to your question. By doing that, you may wonder something new. If I found out that the sky is blue because there is something in our atmosphere turning the sky blue or making it look blue to our eyes, maybe my next question is, what is that something in the atmosphere? So now that we've gone through the scientific method, it's your turn to figure out a question that you want to get answered.